Seal this bill of divorce to all.
And what torn ships do I ever embark for the ships with the meat emblem of the ark? What seas to ever swallow me for that flood should be unto the emblem of the blood.
Seal this bill of divorce to all.
So disguised as the face, yet through the mask I knew.
Seal this bill of divorce to all.
For the ships with the meat emblem of the ark. What seas to ever swallow me for that
Seal this bill of divorce to all. Whom those with fainter beats. Seal this bill of divorce to all. Whom those with fainter beams of love did fall. Marry those loves in which in youth scattered beyond fame. With hopes, false mistresses to thee. Churches are best prepared that have least light. To see God only I go out of sight. And to escape these stormy days I choose an everlasting night. Religion doesn't control the amorousness for the harmonious soul, for the would have that love for yourself, and jealous the Lord, I am jealous now. The love till from loving more for you to be free. My soul who can never give and take the liberty for that and can whom I love. I love me. And what torn ships soever I embark upon, that ship should be the emblem for the ark, and what sea soever swallow me in that flood should be the term. For me, an emblem of the blood, for though with the clouds of the anger do disguise in the face through the mask, and I know those eyes. They turn away sometimes, they never will despise. Sacrifice the island unto you for the whom I love from there, who loved me, and when I put the seas and twist them unto me. Put the sea and betwist my sins in thee. As a tree sapped and just a seek root below. In winter, in my winter now I go for the none, but the eternal root for the true love I must know. This is the eternal hymn. Who forgive those who sin for I begun, which my sin for I done before. With the forgiving of that sin for which I run and do run still, for those the place to deplore, for one who I've done, for those who not done, for I done more. Who can forgive that sin for which I fund? I want others to sin for the made the sin to their door, without the forgiveness and sins which I have to do myself, for the year, for the two, for the wallowing of the score, for this to have done, for the has to done, for I have more. I have sinned of fear for this when I have spun. My less dread for that I should perish on the other shore, for the swearing of myself, for not the death of the sun, for the shell rises and shines now, for this is hereafter, for the having done, for this to be done, from fear no more. I'll be an angel twice and 3 times for the love, and before I knew for the face of the name, and so inside of a voice for the shapeless and phantom of an angel fell like upon the worshiping of the still when I can find the where I came from, for the love, the glorious thing to see, for the sense of the soul, which is the child for the love is. The limits of the flesh we could else and nothing do. More subtle for the parent is, for the love, for the must be. Take it the body for 2, for this is the therefore. You can who bid for the love, and asking now who to assume the body for the allowing it, the fixing of itself for the lip, and the eye for the brow. Why you balancing the love for the thought, for the more stillly have I gone for the wares, who seeking admiration and saw the love for the penance, overthought for every hair for the love, to work upon it for the so much for the filtering it to be sought. Nothing, nor in things in extreme for the scattering of bright and love in here, for this is the angel facing the wings of the hair, from the pure as it is and it must endure. Where for this love, for the baby, the love for this as a spear, for this such desperate twist for the air, for the angels and pyrite. Twixt woman's love and the men's will never be. Community of good and will, good we must love and good must hate ill. For the ill is ill, for the good is still, for the bears is theirs and indifferent, for there we neither hate for the one for another, for the proving of the well should find a fancy and bent. If not for the first wise and nature had been made for the woman, for neither for good or bad, for them to remind maybe hate for the sum to choose, for this is the sum for not to create, for the win, for the never, for the love, for the nor the hate, for this resistance for all may use. But they were good for enough to be seen, for the good is invisible, the green as the eyes itself betray. If they were bad, for they cannot last. Bad doesn't itself for the others to waste, for they deserve the blame for nor the praise. But for theirs, for ours, the fruit for the ours, for this is the taste for the who devours, and this is the leaf for the dove, for the who the well, the change the love, for the changing of the source, for the meat for the who has the kernel. Who for the kernel, for the meat, for the claw, for the clean, for the hell, who has a shell. Death is nothing to be proud of and departed for the doctor to be the double interest of the kingdom for the son given to me for the joint, for the keep, for the gift, for the death, for the consequence, for the land, for the whose death and life, for the world, for the hand of the blessing, for the wealth, for the beginning and the slain, for the who had made the will, for the work, to the legacy, who for the work, for the kingdom of the son, for the investing of such laws, for the man, for the argue, yet, for whether being the man tan, the statute for the filling, for the none, for the dose, for the healing, for the grace of the spirit, for the revival again, for the law, for the letter to kill, for the who's the law, for the Bible, for the last command, but it's all love, for who will this stand? For whom will be the bell, seal this bill of divorce to all, whom those with fainter beams of love did fail, fall, marry those loves in which in youth scattered beyond fame, to hopes, false mistresses, to thee. Churches are best prepared that have least light. To see God only, I go out of sight. To escape these stormy days, I choose an everlasting night. Religion doesn't control the amorousness for the harmonious soul, for the would have that love for yourself. And jealous the Lord, I am jealous now. The love too, from loving more, for you to be free. My soul who can never give then take the liberty for that and can whom I love. I love me. And what torn ship soever I embark upon, that ship should be the emblem for the ark, and what sea soever swallow me in that flood should be the tongue. For me the emblem of the blood, for though with the clouds of the anger do disguise in the face through the mask, and I know those eyes. They turn away sometimes, they never will despise. Sacrifice the island unto you, for the whom I love from there, who loved me, and when I put the seas and twist them unto me, put the sea and betwist my sins in thee. As the tree sap and does the seek root below. In winter, in my winter now I go, for the none, but the eternal root, for the true love I must know. This is the eternal hymn. Who forgive those who sin for I begun, which my sin for I done before, with the forgiving of that sin for which I run and do run still, for those the place to deplore, for one who I've done, for those who not done, for I done more. Who can forgive that sin for which I fund? I want others to sin for to make the sin to their door, without the forgiveness and sins which I have to do myself, for the year, for the two, for the wallowing of the score, for this to happen. Who will be that bell for the toll? Whom for the vow that bell for the soul be ill, for the it can never know the toll for yourself. Perchance and I may think for the self, for the so much and better, for I am the liberal about me, for the seeing in my state, for the causing it to be the toll of me. I know that the church, the people, the universal way, the order, for the actions, the all, for the belonging, for the this of the child, for the action, the concerning, for me, for the child, for the therefore I connecting the body which is the head to, and grafted into the body, wherefore I am member for the burials of a man, for the action concerns me. All for the mankind is one, for the volume for one, for the man dies, and the chapter is torn out of the book and translated into the better language for every chapter to be translated. God employs several for the translated, for some pieces but translated by age, but some by sickness, some by war, some by justice, but the hands in every translation, for the hands should bind it up, for the scatter, for the leaves again, for the library, for every book should lie open for the one another. This is the bell that ring for the sermon for the calling, the preacher for the only, for the congregation to come. Bells for the calling of us all, for the much, for the more, for the me, for the brought, for the soul, for the seer near, for the door, for the by the sickness, and there was the contention for the forest is suit. Iron for the witch, to the PA, for the dignity, for the religion, and estimation for ringled. This is the religion for the order should ring, the prayers for the first in the morning, for it was determined for the should ring. First with the rose's eyes. This is we can understand the eye right for the dignity of the bell. This is the toll for the evening prayer for those who would be glad enough to make it by the rising early, for the application to make it only ours and wells, for the indeed for the is, for the bell for the toll for him to think his death, for the dough for the intermittent, for the yet, for the minute, for the occasion was wrought upon him. This is the united for the God, for the not cast upon the eye to the sun when it rises, but who takes off the eye from the comment for the breaking out, who bends not for the ears to the bell for the which upon the occasion rings. Who cannot remove for the bell for which is surpassing a piece of self, out for the world, for the not, for the man, for the item, for the entire self, for the every man, for the piece of the continent, for the part of the name, for the culture, for the current wash away for the sea. Europe is the lessons of was a promontory, where this is the well for the manner, for the rain, for the friends, for the dying, for the any meaning, for the diminishing of what could be involved in mankind.
Who will be that bell for the toll? Whom for the bound that bell for the soul? Be ill for the it can never know the toll for yourself. Perchance and I may think for the self, for the so much and better, for I am the liver, I bought me for the seeing in my state, for the causing it to be the toll of me. I know that the church, the people, the universal way of the order, for the actions, the all, for the belonging, for the this of the child, for the actually concerning for me, for the child, for the therefore I connecting the body, which is the head to, and grasping to the body, wherefore I remember for the burials of a man, for the action concerns me. All for the mankind is one, for the volume for one, for the man dies in the chapter is torn out of a book and translated into the better language for every chapter to be translated. God employs several for the translated for some pieces, but translated by age, but some by sickness, some by war, some by justice. But the hands in every translation for the hands should bind it up, for the scatter for the leaves again, for the library for every book should lie open for the one another. This is the bell that ring for the sermon for the calling, the preacher for the only for the congregation to come. Bells for the calling of us all, for the much, for the more, for the me, for the broad, for the soul, for the seer near, for the door, for the by the sickness, and there was the contention for the forest suit. I am for the witch to the PA, for the dignity, for the religion and estimation for wingled. This is the religion for the order should ring, the prayers for the first in the morning, for it was determined for the should ring. First with the rose's eyes. This is we can understand the I right for the dignity of the bell. This is the toll for the evening prayer for those who would be glad enough to make it by the rising early, for the application to make it only ours and wells, for the indeed for the is, for the bell for the toll for him to think it's death, for the dough for the intermittent, for the yet, for the minute, for the occasion was brought upon him. This is the united for the guy, for the night cast from the eye to the sun when it rises, but who takes off the eye from the comment for the breaking out? Who bends not for the ears to the bell for the which upon the occasion rings? Who cannot remove for the bell for which is surpassing a piece of self? Out for the world, for the not, for the man, for the item, for the entire self, for the every man, for the piece of the continent, for the part of the name, for the coast of the turn, wash away for the sea. Europe is the lessons, it was a promontory, where it is the world, for the manner, for the rain, for the friends, for the die, for the enemy, for the diminishing of what is being involved in mankind. And that forever known, for the sending, for the there, for the who's the bell, for the toll, for the toes, for the near, for the begging, for the misery, for the borrowing, for the misery, for this and to be miserable, for the no, for the ourselves, and this for the fetching and more, for the next house, and the taking upon the misery, for the neighbors. Truly it was for excusable for the convention, not affliction for the treasure, for the scars. Man for the half, and not habit for the affliction, but not enough for the mature, ripped by, fit for the guy for the affliction. It's the man for the carriage of the treasure, and the billion for the wedge of the gold, for the half, not coin, for the current money, than the courage of the treasure. Defray that for the travel, the tribulations, and this is the treasure for the nature of it. It's not the current money for the using and acceptance for the near I home, heaven. And another man for the be sick to the death, for the affliction, for the life, for the bow, for the cold, for the mind, for the listen unto the bell, for the telling of the affliction, for the digging out the applying. Another's in danger for the mind, for only to contemplate, making for the recourse into what is the own security. That train will bring me home. The go catching of a falling star, for the tell me where the passengers are. Who left the devil's foot for the teaching me, for the mermaid to singing off the keeper the infidels, thinking what refined servant advances an honest mind. That's to be born for the strange sights and things invisible to see, for the ride for the 10,000 days and nights until age of snow white for hairs and though return, telling for the strange wonders and bell fell for the swear, for this is delivered with woman true for unfair. Finding one, let me know. Sing a song for the sweet, for the not know, for the where to go, for the thought, for the next door we might meet, for the thought, for the we were true, for the met her, for the last, for the you could write a letter, for she will be false. Here I come for the two, for the three, for the dozen, for the undertaking, for the understanding of holy matrimony, for the ceremony, for the running to death, for meets me as fast, for this is the moving and dim eyes away, for the despair behind. Sleep of flesh, for the tossing away, for the sin, for the this is the towards, for leaving the book, and I like and rise again. Subtle for the foe, for the temptation of me, for the hour I can sustain myself. Grace for the wing, for the preventing of the art, for this the admiration, for the draw, for the mining and the iron heart. I got desolation, like a hymn to the God in my sickness. I'm coming to that holy room, for the choir of saints forevermore, for shall be the music as I come tuned with the instrument at the door, for what you might think and to hear before, for the whistling and the wisdom of physicians, for the love of the ground, for the calm apology, for the map, for the who life, for the flat on the bed, for that was shown, for this is what the discovery is. Straight, joy for the straits and the sea for the west, for this is the current yielding return to none. I show my west hurt me, for the west and the east and all flat maps, and I am one. So the death does not touch the resurrection. In the Pacific Sea of the home, in the riches in the Jerusalem where the land and the bones lie. Straits for none, for the straits for the ways to carry the weather where not for the can dwell. We think that paradise and not Calvary, for the cross and this is the tree, for the one place for the Lord, for the find the attitude, and this is the place of the surrounding of the face, with the purple for the wrapping of the receiving of the souls and I. Find us in the sermon, find us in the teaching, find us in the raising with what's to throw down. Who will be that bell for the toll? Who for the bound that bell for the soul? Be ill for the it can never know the toll for yourself. Perchance and I may think for the self, for the so much and better, for I am the liver, I bought me for the seeing in my state, for the causing it to be the toll of me. I know that the church, the people, the universal way of order, for the actions, the all, for the belonging, for the this of the child, for the actually concerning for me, for the child, for the therefore I connecting the body, which is the head to, and grabbing to the body, wherefore I remember for the burials of a man, for the action concerns me. All for the mankind is one, for the volume for one, for the man dies in the chapter is torn out of the book and translated into the better language for every chapter to be translated. God employs severed for the translated, for some pieces but translated by age, but some by sickness, some by war, some by justice, but the hands in every translation for the hands should bind it up, for the scatter, for the leaves again, for the library, for every book should lie open for the one another. This is the bell that ring for the sermon we're calling, the preacher for the only, for the congregation to come. Bells for the calling of us all, for the much, for the more, for the me, for the broad, for the soul, for the seer near, for the door, for the by the sickness, and there was the contention for the forest suit. I am for the witch to the PA, for the dignity, for the religion and estimation for ringled. This is the religion for the orders who's ring.
Dragging those excuses around for so long now. What a traveling. Mouth movements. No accountability or belief in words. What's the point of talking? You can't show up to your own words. Would like to put words in other people's mouth for them. What a fool. But who's the fool to believe that you want to use the question who it is?
Who will be that bell for the toll? Who put around that bell for the soul be ill, for the it can never know the toll for yourself. Perchance and I may think for the self, for the so much and better, for I am the deliverer about me, for the seeing of my state, for the causing it to be the toll of me. I know that the church, the people, the universal way, the order for the actions, the all for the you belonging for the good of the child, for the action, the concerning for me, for the child, for the thereby connecting the body, which is the head to.
I know they say that to themselves.
Who will be that bell for the toll? Whom for the round that bell for the soul be ill, for the it can never know the toll for yourself. Perchance and I may think for the self, for the so much and better, for I am the deliverer about me, for the seeing of my state, for the causing it to be the toll of me. I know that the church, the people, the universal way, the order for the actions, the all for the belonging for the this of the child, for the action, the concerning for me, for the child, for the thereby connecting the body, which is the head to, and grafted into the body, wherefore I am member for the burials of a man, for the action concerns me. All for the mankind is one, for the volume for one, for the man dies in the chapter is torn out of the book and translated into the better language for every chapter to be translated. God employs severed for the translated, for some pieces but translated by age, but some by sickness, some by war, some by justice, but the hands in every translation for the hands should bind it up, for the scatter, for the leaves again, for the library, for every book should lie open for the one another. This is the bell that ring for the sermon for the calling, the preacher for the only, for the congregation to come. Bells for the calling of us all, for the much, for the more, for the me, for the broad, for the soul, for the seer near, for the door, for the by the sickness, and there was the contention for the forest suit. I am for the witch to the PA, for the dignity, for the religion and estimation for ringled. This is the religion for the orders whose ring, the prayers for the first in the morning, for it was determined for the should ring. First with the roses eyes. This is we can understand the I right for the dignity of the bell. This is the toll for the evening prayer for those who will be glad enough to make it by the rising early for the application and make it only ours and wells for the indeed for the is, for the bell for the toll for him to think it's death, for the dough for the intermittent for the yet for the minute for the occasion was brought upon him. This is the united for the guy for the night casted from the eye to the sun when it rises, but who takes off the eye from the comment for the breaking out? Who bends not for the ears to the bell for the which upon the occasion rings? Who cannot remove for the bell for which is a passing a piece of self? Out for the world, for the not, for the man, for the island, for the entire self, for the every man, for the piece of the continent, for the part of the main, for the culture, for the heart, wash away for the sea. Europe is the lessons, it was a promontory, where it's the world, for the manner, for the rain, for the friends, for the dying, for the any minute, for the diminishing of what you can be involved in mankind. And there forever known for the sinning, for the for there, for the whom's the bell, for the toll, for the tolls, for the near, for the near, for the begging, for the misery, for the borrowing, for the misery, for this and to be miserable, for the no, for the ourselves, and this with the fetching and more for the next house and the taking upon the misery for the neighbors. Truly it was for excusable for the conviction, not affliction for the treasure, for the scars. Man for the half and the not have it for the affliction, but not enough for the mature, ribbon by, fit for the guy for the affliction. It's the man for the carriage of the treasure, and the billion with the bullion for the wedge of the gold, for the half not coin, for the current money, when the current treasure. Defray that from the travel, the tribulations from this is the treasure for the nature of it. It's not the current money for the using and acceptance for the near I hope, heaven. And another man for the be sick to the death, for the affliction, for the lie, for the bow, for the cold, for the mind, for this unto the bell, for the telling of the affliction, for the digging out the who will be that bell for the toll? Who will around that bell for the soul be ill for the you never know the toll for yourself. Perchance and I may think for the self, for the so much and better, for I am the liber about me for the seed in my state, for the causing it to be the toll of me. I know that the church, the people, the universe, the order for the action of the all for the belonging for the this of the child, for the action concerning for me, for the child, for the therefore connecting the body which is the head to. Grafted into the body with I am for the very simple man for the action concerns me.
A new life.
All for the mankind is one for the volume for one for the man dies in the chapter is torn out of the book and translated to the better language for every chapter and translated. God employs separate from the translated for some people but translated by age but some by sickness. Some by war, some by justice, but the hands in every translation for the hands should bind it up and the scatter for the leaves again for the library for every book should lie open to one another. This is the bell that ring for the sermon for the calling. The preacher for the only for the congregation to come. Bells for the calling of us all, for the much, for the more, for the meat, for the broth, for the soul, for the seer near, for the door, for the body sickness, and there is the contention for the forest issue. Iron for the witch, for the beard, for the dignity, for the religion, and estimation for wrinkle. This is the religion for the order should ring, the prayers for the first in the morning, for it was determined for the should ring. First with the rose's eyes. This is we can understand the eye right for the dignity of the bed. This is the toe for the evening prayer for them to be glad enough to make it by the rising early for the application that make it more and more and indulgence for the indeed for the is
And no
the
direction
bell for
to
the
the
toe for him to think it's done the door for the end.
Not a direction or at all. Not a care, not a good or a bad in the place of bliss. To be silent and emotions is the paradise to wait for the carriage to take me there. A penny for the well, or the nickel for the thoughts, and doesn't make sense at all. Who's the developer of these riddles? Nonsense.
Who will be that bell for the toll? Whom for the round that bell for the soul be ill for the it can never know the toll for yourself. Perchance and I may think for the self for the so much better for I am the liber about me for the seed in my state for the causing it to be the toll of me. I know that the church, the people, the universal order for the actions the all for the belonging for the this of the child for the action concerning for me for the child for the thereby connecting the body which is the head to. Grafted into the body wherefore I am member for the very simple man for the action concerns me. All for the mankind is one for the man dies in the chapter is torn out of the book and translated to the better language for every chapter to be translated. God employs separate for the translated for some people but translated by age but some by sickness. Some by war, some by justice, but the hands in every translation for the hands should bind it up for the scatter for the leaves again for the library for every book should lie open to one another. This is the bell that ring for the sermon for calling. The preacher for the only for the congregation to come.
bells for the calling of us all, for the much, for the more, for the me, for the rock, for the soul, for the seer near, for the door, for the body sickness and devils, for contention, for the bars and shoot. I for the witch, for the fear, for the dignity, for the religion and estimation, for regal. This is the religion, for the orders, for the ring, for the first in the morning, for the determined, for the shoot ring. First with the rose time, the right here, for the toe, for the evening prayer, for the application, the mic, for the for the indeed, for the is, for the bell, for the toll, for him, for think is duck, for the door, for the internet, for the yet, for the minute, for the occasion, the swallow upon him. This is the united for the guy, for the not captured from the eyes of the sun when it rises, for the who takes off the eye from the time for the breaking out. Who bends not for the ears and lift up with the witch upon the occasion. Cannot remove for the bell, for which is surpassing the piece of soul. Out for the world, for the not, for the man, for the out of the entire self, for the every man, for the piece of the continent, for the part of the man, for the cold, for the wash away for the sea.
Why did we ever break this up? But it's so beautiful.
For the center, for the bell, for the
It's never ever never should tell me for the bar.
for the ourselves and this the reason why we have to take the abundance of the stars. Truly able for excusable for the foundation, not affection for the treasure for the stars. Man for the half and not half for the affliction, but not enough for the pure ribbon by.
This good don't break them at all. Take care of
Go to the half, not coin for the treasure money.
responsibility with your love. Accountable for every account. We're gonna have to count them up later.
Death for the affliction, for the lies, for the God, for the code, for the mind, for the essence, unto the best, for telling you the affliction, for the digging out the crying. Never too danger for the honor, for the truth, for the faith, looking for the recourse into what is the insecurity. Go catching the falling star for the thunder where the passing is all. And left the devil's soul.
What are we saying yeah to exactly? I shouldn't be chanting comments I'm not sure of, shouldn't I? Is that not a question to you at all? Shouldn't be. Speaking to me. Rhetorical. Booty moving music, feet wiggling, legs jiggling, body in motion like it was a rubber, giving you energy as you use it. It's metaphysical. The music will hit you when it's become spiritual. Nothing that I feel and I resonate, I receive with gratitude and that is my way of saying that is the frequency that I can remain on.
In what torn ships do I ever embark for the ship for to be the emblem of the ark? What cease to ever swallow me for that flood should be unto the emblem of the blood. Though the clouds for the anger so disguised as the face yet through the mask I know those eyes. Those are those who turn away sometimes they would never despise. I sacrifice the island to you. And all whom the love are there for the love of me, for not put them seeds and twist them into me. And I the sea be twisting the sins in thee for the there's a trap for the doth to seek the root below for the winter. Now I go for now for thee, the internal root for the true love that I know. Nor for the religion dust to control them, more for the harmonious soul for the wood is. Have thy love for thyself, and thou jealous for the Lord, for the jealous is I'm out now, for thou who doest find the loving more, for the free, for the soul, for the giving, the taking the liberty, for the care I love how. Not for the stealing, for the build of the divorce to all. Whom fainter being comes, and the beams of love and did fail. Marry those loves of which in Saturn be of fame. With hopes and false mistresses of thee, cherish the best for the prayer, for the last of light, to see the God, for the only for the out of sight, for that to escape to the stormy days I choose to the everlasting night. In what torn ships do I ever embark for the ship for to be the emblem of the ark? What cease to ever swallow me for that flood should be unto the emblem of the blood. Though the clouds for the anger so disguised as the face yet through the mask I know those eyes. Those are those who turn away sometimes they would never despise. I sacrifice the island to you. And all whom the love are there for the love of me, for not put them seeds and twist them into me. And I the sea be twisting the sins in thee for the there's a trap for the doth to seek the root below for the winter. Now I go for now for thee, the internal root for the true love that I know. Nor for the religion dust to control them, more for the harmonious soul for the wood is. Have thy love for thyself, and thou jealous for the Lord, for the jealous is I'm out now, for thou who doest find the loving more, for the free, for the soul, for the giving, the taking the liberty, for the care I love how. Not for the stealing, for the build of the divorce to all. Whom fainter being comes, and the beams of love and did fail. Marry those loves of which in Saturn be of fame. With hopes and false mistresses of thee, cherish the best for the prayer, for the last of light, to see the God, for the only for the out of sight, for that to escape to the stormy days I choose to the everlasting night. In what torn ships do I ever embark for the ship for to be the emblem of the ark? What cease to ever swallow me for that flood should be unto the emblem of the blood. Though the clouds for the anger so disguised as the face yet through the mask I know those eyes. Those are those who turn away sometimes they would never despise. I sacrifice the island to you. And all whom the love are there for the love of me, for not put them seeds and twist them into me. And I the sea be twisting the sins in thee for the there's a trap for the doth to seek the root below for the winter. Now I go for now for thee, the internal root for the true love that I know.
Of the ark.